Hi, I'm so excited to have on the show today L-EAF Lab co-founders. They share their mission to elevate the future of work by preparing the next generation to thrive through a culture of collaboration and innovation. Pinny brings over 20 years experience within the talent acquisition industry, specializing in leadership across SaaS video recruitment, recruitment process outsourcing, and talent acquisition as a whole. You do not want to miss his point of view. Simon holds a background as a former head of school, director of studies. He's also an executive board member of Boston University's Agile Innovation Lab. Together, they are changing the future of work with one student at a time. You don't want to miss this show. People Work is proud to present Strategic Shift, a podcast dedicated to exploring the future of work. Thank you for joining us as we hear stories of bold decisions and workforce innovations. I'm Christy Honeycutt, and I'm your host.
Pinny, Simon, thank you so much for joining us on Strategic Shift today. So I know that my introduction cannot do you both justice. I would love for you to tell the audience what your role is and what you bring to the community. Pinny, let's start with you.
Okay, so I have co-founded a company called the L-EAF Lab with my partner here, Simon, and I am the Chief Operation Officer and also the Chief Talent Officer. We are early enough as a company that we can hold multiple titles, and really what I focus on is our L-EAF Lab provides experiences, learning experiences for students where they can get real world work experience before they ever actually enter the real world. And so my responsibilities to the lab primarily as a co-founder is to bring people into the lab, so onboarding, and to offboard them out of the lab. And offboarding means helping them find meaningful employment as well. And so my two co-founders spend more time in the middle of our process, but I bring people in and take them out.
Take them out in a good way.
Yeah, that's possible way.
And Simon?
Hi, Simon Holtzapfel from Williamstown, Massachusetts. I'm the CFO in the lab, Penny's co-founder. I also am the Chief Purpose Officer, having been in academia for a very, very long time as formerly a headmaster, an academic director. Also, I've served in governance, including a board chair. So I kind of bring the academic side and the social stack of helping young people understand, learn what they need to learn so that they leave the lab just fully enabled to contribute to a digital economy.
That is very well said. So we've taken the best of both worlds, the education and the financial background, along with Penny's side. And for those of you that know Penny and myself, you're thinking, why is Christy calling Wes Penny? It's because that is his name. And I've known Penny as Wes for many, many years, and I've had the privilege of working beside you. So with your talent background and then bringing in the education background, you guys bring in a really unique value proposition to the community. And I'm really curious, Wes, because I know you've hired hundreds of thousands of people probably over your career, but what are you seeing? Because our world is shifting and we're hearing about these individuals you're speaking about that you're onboarding and offboarding into roles that they're just crap and they're not worth hiring and entry-level roles are dead. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, I feel bad that I originally held an opinion, which has been changed, that this generation that's coming out into the workplace right now, I thought they were a loss. I thought it was a wasted generation, no capability, no desire, only wants to play video games, ... Where did I learn that? I'm sure I learned it from the media and other places like that. What I needed was some actual experience working with and collaborating with students in this generation. And what I have found is wrong. I had it completely upside down, but that's not the issue. It's the way they see the world is so entirely different than the way that, I'll just say people of my generation see the world. And I'm learning to think more and more like them. And I find myself becoming more productive and more capable in the workplace the more I give myself that mindset of a 20-year-old or a 22-year-old and the way they see things. It's just so different than the way we see things.
So give us an example, because I too believe that we can learn from all generations, and I'm excited to see what you've kind of uncovered with this generation.
Yeah, so I'll give you an example. We have a group of students that are working for a client of ours, not working, but they're working on projects that will support a client of ours, and it's social media type work. And so where does my mind go when we start to do this out? Well, let's map out the different types of videos that we can do, and let's it's really a regurgitation of everything that's ever existed out there. We give it to the students, and the students immediately start thinking about things like automation. How do I get AI involved in this? How do I make the work for itself, where I don't have to show up every day to make the work happen? There's a whole variety of things where they think so differently than we do. But around those areas of work efficiency, they'll find it. And I once heard it said that it's amazing to hire someone who's lazy. Like, what? How would you hire a lazy person? Why would you ever want to do that? And because the lazy people will figure out all of the automation that you need to get the work done so that they can focus on other things. Now, it's your job as a leader to motivate them to think about the proper things in that spare time they've created for themselves.
I love that. So they're lazy, but very performance based, right? Because they're trying to get more done in less time. So they have free time to do things like, I don't know, work-life balance,
Right.
maybe.
Things like
So
that.
Simon, I'm curious with your educational background, do you agree with Penny's point of view that he's uncovered with this generation? What are you seeing?
The basic thing that the teacher in me says, that the school administrator in me says, that in fact the board member in me says is, you've got to take the people who do the work seriously as complete people. If you can't do that to this younger generation, they're going to walk away. They're going to unplug. Yeah. That's what we see. So many people are like, no, I want the old system to be exactly like it was. They are generally ones who are like, oh, kids these days bring purpose into the equation. They get pretty focused pretty quick. So I just 100% agree, Penny.
I love that.
You should probably follow up on that. This idea of bringing purpose into the equation is a massive, I'm sorry, I'm doing your job, Christy, but it's a massive piece of the way we approach the world, approach the students, and approach the work. But no one can say it better than Simon, so I'm going to let him say it.
I mean, I think that's all. I mean, we know how things get made in a digital economy. It is knowledge workers. Run a knowledge worker like someone pushing buttons in a factory 100 years ago, you're going to see exactly what we see now. Disengagement, AI just substituting for thinking, the overall quality of communication going down because everyone's flooding the box with everything their AI can think, but the signal is not stronger, so. And I think young people understand this, frankly. I mean, the things that Penny and I see the students in the lab doing blows my mind on a weekly basis. I'm just like, dang, this kid is going to leave college so much more useful to the world than I was, because they've had 24 months to think about a product from the customer's view, but also from the accountant's view and also from the data view. And, this is why having a diverse team of people in the lab as the co-founders lets the students see, oh, here's 4 different perspectives on how to get to being a contributor first, understanding the culture, appreciating just having a job, and then saying, where's the purpose here? And if your company can't tell you, okay, that's on them. And you can, be there for a while. But if you're going to hunt for that purpose, like a kid, I was literally on the phone with a kid this morning. He works at a large financial institution in DevOps. And he's like, this job is killing me. Everyone is stressed out. No one knows why they're here other than the paycheck. They're zombies. This is killing me. I can't breathe. Now, that's an environment without purpose. That's where the money is flooding the box and the purpose is left out and people hate it.
Well, and we're living in the biggest creator economy that there's ever been, right? There's more entrepreneurs that are being born, and not just this new generation. Our generation has been burned out and trying new things, and hence the birth of this beautiful lab you've created. So my understanding of L-EAF Lab, and just correct me if I'm wrong, is that you take these interns, you bring them in, you give them real world work, as Penny said, and they kind of get your covering, if you will, to make sure they're doing it right, your thought leadership, kind of a safe place to land as they're executing the work. So the organizations that are hiring you guys kind of have you as a stopgap, but the work is getting done with your oversight. Is that accurate?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a good way to describe it. I think you were right on track. You were listening in all of our conversations. That's amazing. But yeah.
Again, I guess I would just say, one refinement would be often And this is just a weird language thing, because again, when you really want to think in teams and train the students to think in teams, we have this funny language about that, which is just a little bit different. Um, if you think about in an organization, we all want innovation. We want innovative people. If you have an environment where a new idea person arrives and they're just kind of like shut down first thing, again, that person is just going to stop talking. I don't know. I feel so strongly that this generation is misunderstood and early talent is being given a bad name, mostly because they're not actually being given smart opportunities. Let me leave it at that.
Oh, that was a powerful statement. And I would have to agree with you. I think that they're coming in. If we look at all the generations, right, over a lifetime, even when we were coming up, I'm sure we were called lazy. I'm sure we were called disruptive, all the different things, right? So it's just a different cycle, different time, different generation, but it's just packaged a little bit differently. But you hit the nail on something. So purpose is very important, is what I'm hearing as well in the market. And then outside of the purpose is, they want to drive towards that, but they also want engagement, and culture is important. So you have created a really unique value proposition that I think serves both organizations and the students that you're serving. But what are you seeing? I mean, we know that they're misunderstood. How are you guys solving that problem? How are they launching from Leaf Labs and being offboarded in a positive way?
Yeah, I think you're gearing that towards me when we talk about offboarding. So really the idea is that when the students come out of this experience, first of all, they don't always come out of it. Many of our students come in for the original experience and stay in the lab. And we've had students who have been with us for multiple years now. But it's really fascinating. When they're ready to come out of the lab, they don't look or sound like anybody else out there in the marketplace, in my opinion. One of the things that we focus on very heavily with these students is we help them. The phrase today is bring the receipts when they're interviewing for jobs. And what that means is they're able to build digital portfolios of the work that they've done inside of our lab. And that might mean, they did a demo to a client. We recorded that demo, cleaned it up a little bit, and then the student now can start to make a digital portfolio of the work that they've done. So it's not that they would show up to an interview and tell what they did. They would show up to an interview and be able to show what they've done. There's also certifications, and maybe Simon will speak more about that in a moment. But we also provide digital certifications for the students as well. It's digital credentials. It's a little bit different. Digital credentials for the students that prove that they have earned certain skill sets. So for instance, most or all of our students will come out of the lab with workflow and nested workflow, which are agile certifications that they earn here. Well, what that really shows an employer, if you've got agile workflow certification, you know how to get projects done and get things across finish lines. If you have nested workflow, you know how to do that in an environment where everybody's distributed, meaning you might have people in this state or that state or this level or that level. All of that is able to come together for these students. They build these portfolios. When they go to the marketplace, we're seeing examples of companies that I'm gonna see if I can tell the story correctly, but one of our students came out, and was going to go work with a major banking system. I'll leave it at that. I won't say the name. And coming into that opportunity, that banking system had never hired anyone ever with a Bachelor of Arts. And this was the first one coming in because all the experience that they had gained along the way and the digital receipts to show that they've done so, they were able to leverage that and say, look, I know you do that 3-week training at the very front. I've already done it. I'll go through it if I need to, but I'm just, I'm already coming ready for the workplace here. And they love the employee, and it goes from there.
You're building a culture of collaboration, but I would love to hear more about this digital certification. Simon, can you share a little bit more about that? Because I feel like that's so thoughtful in your approach.
Sure. What I really want to talk about is kind of like the mindset thing that you were alluding to about helping students who come into the lab. And sometimes they'll say, well, I'm an intern. The student will say that. We're like, well, not really, because an intern is going to be someone who expects to get told what to do. The lab, okay, you're not going to get told what to do. Companies are going to pay you to self-organize and innovate. You show us that in a very small way by telling us when you're going to set your schedule. So you walk them as a teacher would, like in a Montessori classroom, one simple self-leadership act at a time after another. And then Penny talks to them and he has a couple of interactions with them. So you kind of build them up slowly over time. Interns get good at being told what to do and following orders. Lab students build themselves up into these credentials over time. And so the real easy way for your audience to think about this is, as a value prop, how much information is there in a college diploma now versus the attestation of these professional certifications? And we can share that with our audience. Just compare the information of those two documents. You're going to know who you want to hire. It's as simple as like an A/B test. It is not ambiguous. And we have video of the students demonstrating their work that any employer or prospective employer can see. So you know this kid can demo increments of improved product because you've already seen it live before you hire them. It's, it's like in that way, you can't falsify that, as opposed to the information in a like $200,000 diploma that my son is getting. And we're glad because it's cool. But man, the information value there is just not what it is with these professional attestations that are professionals like, oh, you can add value in these ways. Because of workflow, you can break a project down. You can talk to people about who's doing what. All those basic social technologies that are getting lost. We keep the social technologies there. And we don't say, class, here's social technology. It's you as a team are going to build a working agreement. That's no BS. That's a working agreement. And we can show you what that looks like as a team forms. We're just like little embryos sending out these teams with really good team habits and hygiene. That's it.
No, that's very, very powerful. It's good team habits and hygiene. That's such a great statement, because you're basically incubating these baby chickens to kind of go out and roam free on the range and be amazing contributors to our society and our community.
So they're acculturated to collaboration. Just like you said, Christy, that's it. We are acculturating them to collaboration without lecturing about how to collaborate. It would be as gross as an adult telling a kid like, hey, two people who want to go do some biological thing together, let me show you how to do that. No, parents, step back. Do not do that. You have to give young talent challenges that are real. Don't then tell them how to use their parts. That's wrong. Don't do that.
Well, and I like that you guys are building a transparent work culture, and I hope that the companies that they're going into are facilitating and hopefully keeping that culture alive, because it is a change in the way of the future of work. I do think we're in a shift. And then Penny, I know that, we think back in the talent side of things, people trying to find jobs and people interviewing for jobs. And we've all dealt with hiring managers that are sticklers about certifications and what school did they go to. That might not actually, they might show up good on paper, but might not actually work out. And then with AI complicating things, what is your point of view on the resume versus skill set?
So I'll start with the resume to begin with. Bye. It's time for it to go bye-bye. We're ready to get rid of the resume. It has become almost an entirely useless piece of information. It's where a candidate would put all of their biased information, and it's where a hiring manager would read it with all of their biases. And everyone's put a layer of AI on top of it as well. So really, AI wrote the resume, AI wrote the cover letter, and AI reviewed it as well. Mm-hmm. And so none of that, in my opinion, is sustainable long term for where we're going. So I want to go back to an idea here, in that when we bring work into the lab, we have two sort of requirements that we look at. One of them is that the work needs to be non-essential work when we bring it into the lab. And you said the word that I like earlier. We create a safe environment for the students to learn. Between you and me, they'll have a whole career to be yelled at and screamed at by bosses. Yep. That's not the skill set that we're teaching them right now. What we're teaching them is something entirely different than that, right? And so by making a safe environment, if a company has 10 projects on their list and they know they're only going to get to 4 this year, give us number 6 and 7. We'll take those into the lab and create that safe environment. That's one of the requirements. The other requirement is whatever work we bring into the lab for the students to work on cannot have a solution. that's fundamentally different than the concept of an intern. An intern, usually someone's already solved it. You're asking your intern to go execute it typically. What we're doing with our students is we're bringing that whole train further back on the track, and we're giving the students an opportunity to solve problems and then go ahead and execute. Again, we said this at the top of the session here, that, the students will think about things in an entirely different way that we'll think about them. Well, you don't want them to think differently when it comes to execution. You want them to execute effectively, but you do want them to think differently when it comes to the innovation side of it, the creativity.
Yes.
Front end of it. And this is a group of students that are very capable of this. So let's not undershoot them. But they need the guidance and the mentorship that our coaches provide for them. So our coaches show up to the students collaborate together. Our coaches will show up to their calls, spend the first 10 minutes on the call, perhaps with them, answering questions, saying, hey, are you planning on going left or right? Let me give you some ideas of things you can be thinking about, and then let them go figure it out from there. And that's the magic in what it is that we're doing with these students. And that's why they respond so beautifully as well. They start getting really motivated. They realize, hey, my future is going to be better. But then I think that the B on top of that is, this is interesting. Don't tell me what to do. That's not interesting. Tell me what I need to be thinking about to go figure out. Now that's interesting. And you want engagement from someone who's 18 or 21 years old. That is an amazing way to get that engagement from people.
It's empowering.
It really is. So anyway, back to the resume piece. I didn't answer that question. I just needed to add that piece from before, though. But back to the resume piece. We don't use resumes in the lab ever. We never look at a resume. We very, very frequently have no concept of the pedigree of the student that comes to us. Did they go to this school? Did they go to that school? Have they worked while they were in school? Some of those things just aren't important to us through our process. What we have done is we have actually mindfully built an onboarding process for these students that does the selection with us and for us. Meaning, I don't have to look at your resume and see that you attended that school or you did this job. Those aren't going to help me make a decision on who should come join the lab. We really let the students figure out who's going to join the lab. So our onboarding process is very much a pull process, meaning the students need to pull themselves through our hiring process. We give them the steps and the things that they need to complete to get through to actually enter into the lab. Those students who are able to work their way completely through the process are the ones that succeed. And guess what? Now we're several years into this. We have never kicked a student out of the lab because they weren't a fit for it. Go find any company out there that's hiring the way that companies hire today and see if they've kicked anybody out, particularly early talent. And we believe strongly that this is the methodology. I don't care if you went to an Ivy League or a community college. It makes no difference to me. And what we've seen from the data is it makes no difference in their success as well. Their success is predicated wholly on their desire to grow, learn, innovate, and move forward. Those that want to do that, irregardless of pedigree, will succeed in our environment. And we believe this is a lesson for the whole marketplace as well, is everybody's focusing on the wrong things.
I think that's super interesting, the way that you positioned that. And I know that you've got these students coming in and there are organizations that work with you that obviously provide opportunities that you're speaking of. Is there, Simon and Penny, is there a project that you guys are working on, or an example? If I'm an organization and I want to test Leaf Lab out for a project I have coming up, like, what are some examples that organizations have engaged you for?
Sure. I think we could probably both give examples from two different sectors. I would say one sector would be startups, where so this is an instance of two quite accomplished women who are mid-career, and they're just like, we have this great product idea. We just can't build it. So they have these designs, and the students are coming in to execute on the designs. So those will be booklets about agile learning, which is beautifully defined, and it's really a way to create problem solvers, to infect people with curiosity for solutions. And so these women bring this to the lab, and the students then iterate. They bring feedback, and they say, is this working? Is this up to snuff? But they're doing it asynchronously. So the emotional heaviness of like having to perform in front of the boss, it's a bit lower. When they're doing product demos, they can do it 2 or 3 times. Again, to Penny's point, scaffolding is not a theory. The students have to actually experience something, right? You can't just tell them you're scaffolded. They need to like practice a couple of times. When they hit it, you just can't believe what they can come up with. And they just, because again, think of a student, they're trained in SAT or die, LSAT or die, all these one-time live or die tests. No wonder they're nervous wrecks. In the lab, you have a very high standard. You're just going to get there in your time. That's it. That's a pull system.
You made
Everyone's going to do the pull up, but it's not going to feel the same for everyone because the people are different heights. The lab brings the equality of opportunity that says this is about mindsets. These are specific 6 learning practices that we go through. So we're not like making it up. So it's like ballet. We do lots of plie. But in the end, the student is out there moving stuff to businesses. And they're like, oh, this is great. And again, what it can't be is rushed. Can't be rushed. When a company says, anytime a company says, what's the timeline? They're not right. We'll deliver great product, but you can't schedule innovation. I don't know how many times you can say it to somebody. You can't schedule innovation. So if you're coming to me, right, so this is why we take meaty projects, but we have to give them time for the students to learn, and then they'll crush it.
Penny, any other thoughts on examples of where?
You've probably seen a theme brewing here, which is that we create the safe environment for them to learn, because we know that the workplace itself is not always a safe environment.
Yes.
It's just not. And so they won't do any learning in a non-safe environment. They might execute things, they might get stuff done, and that's great. But the likelihood for innovation and growth is very, very small. And so we're also setting a standard with the students that we work with, what they should be looking for and what we help them look for with employment coming out of school and going into those first jobs as well. I just, I look back at my own career and I just wish that I had known these things. I could have avoided such traumatic situations working for people who really just create drama and trauma. They don't actually, and they might get some work done while they're at it. Sure doesn't feel good though, that's for sure. And I've seen with this generation is they're very unlikely to do things that don't feel right. It doesn't have to feel good, but if it doesn't feel right, they won't do it. They will disengage from you, and as they should. I hope that this has massive effects on the workplace going forward as well, because how you manage people, how you mentor people, how you teach and train matters. And that's what I think much of corporate America has missed through the years, or has just simply, no one gave us the tools to know these things when we started managing teams and functions. And so, unfortunately, there's a trail of trauma, of corporate trauma that exists in the world today, and it's just not necessary. And so to attack it, yes, we have to teach the teachers how to teach properly. But really, I believe that the power here is the momentum from the students themselves, that it becomes sort of like a ground up solution to the marketplace, where it doesn't have to be this way. It doesn't have to be screaming and yelling all the time, and deadlines where if you miss your deadline, you're out. That's fine, but what you won't get is the creativity, innovation, and growth of people sitting in their roles if you manage that way.
So I love everything that you just said, and I agree with you, because I don't know anybody that hasn't had a bad manager.
Mm-hmm.
I was a bad manager. They don't teach you when you're a first-time manager. I don't know anybody that teaches you to be a good first-time manager. So you learn from bad managers of what you don't want to do. And then when you're a bad manager, if you're a decent one, you realize, ooh, that didn't feel good to me or to you. Let's fix it. So I love what you're saying, because you're teaching these students, these interns, our future workforce, the future of work, how to maybe self-regulate, how to think critical thinking skills, how to work collaboratively. You're building a transparent workplace, and it's just going to be a ripple effect. So thank you for taking this on, you guys. Like, this is beautiful. And I know that we're coming up on time, but I really want to make sure we don't have any last nuggets that you might have for individuals looking to join the lab or organizations looking to sign up and be a part of this, because it is a beautiful thing.
I have one quick little takeaway, and it's just something I thought of in the last moment. But when I don't mean to make this a generational talk, but when we look at the Gen X generation, they basically said, what does the boss says jump, and they said how high. They just were wired that way as a generation. Then comes the millennials next, and the millennials were the first generation that told their management what they wanted, that they were able to push back. I remember once managing my team, I walked by one of my young members' desk, and she was on Facebook. And as I walked by the desk, and I know me personally, if I had been on Facebook and my boss walked by, I'd be like, pushing all the buttons, trying to get off the screen as fast as I can. And she didn't do it, and then I'm like, so what's going on Facebook lately? She goes, not much. Like, it never occurred to her that it could be a problem to take a break during the day to do so. But again, that's a generation that began to tell their bosses what it was that they want from the workplace. And we made lots of changes to the workplace. This generation coming up is going to demand and they're going to vote with their feet. And as they should. They're going to demand the environments that are the proper environments to get work done. We're just providing a shortcut for the students that we work with.
I got goosebumps when you said that, by the way. They are going to demand it. And I had an employee who said, I can't make the team meeting because I have yoga class at that time. And so we had a very interesting conversation. I said, I do yoga too, but I do it before work. So can we figure out a schedule that works for both of us? Because I need you in the meeting. But it was, they didn't see a problem with, well, this isn't a big deal. I already have a schedule. So we are experiencing a lot of challenges in the workforce. Simon, you look like your feet are burning over there. Do you have any last nuggets to leave?
It's not super short, but I just think that there is a wisdom in innovation now that I've never seen before. And if I could just tell a brief anecdote, I was at a conference in Boston last week, and this room was filled with cultural icons. And it was so cool because you could see these people were like, they felt that in this moment of adversity, there was just so much sort of hope. And the fact that young people won't stand up for these things in the way that they do doesn't mean that they're right exactly, but the spirit of what they want, a more humane workplace, that's not wrong.
More humane workplace. I like that.
And if you want to just think about it, you guys have known each other for years. When the thing that young people don't know is you can have a 40-year professional friendship. They don't know that. Nothing in their world has told them that's even possible, except in the olden days. So there's just this funny thing. So long story short, I predict that, and Penny knows I almost never predict anything. The two most popular words in the future of talent are going to be social technology, the concept of social technology. What you all do is you facilitate the transfer of social technology into the new people. Break that system and it looks just like it looks right now.
That's really powerful. All right. So I'm going to ask you one more question before we wrap up. What guidance do you have to the students out there right now that are getting ready to exit college and getting ready to enter the workforce? What are the top 3 things that you both would give them? Like, what do they need to know to survive?
Okay, good.
I'll start with one. Maybe we can collaborate on this. But
sure.
You are a culture of collaboration, after all.
Very much a culture of collaboration. We think that's the future as well. That might be one right there, right? It's the future of work is to be highly, highly collaborative in small teams to get lots of work done. One thing I've learned from Simon and our other co-founder too is always fix the plane while flying it. Don't ever wait for everything to be perfect before you go live. Go live as fast as you can and then keep iterating. And it's an amazing way to get lots of work done.
Yeah. So, I had 3 things, but so I think number 2 is, and this is just sort of like a harmonic chord of what Penny said, the future of work is teams, which means that the social technology that the team runs on is going to determine the output of that team. And what the lab teaches is that social technology of how to be a good collaborator. And like, that's just going to win, because that's how, like, shaming carrot stick, it's broken. Everyone feels it's broken. We're just trying to, like, build those seeds out. And so what I would say to young people is learn how to meditate, frankly, learn how to meditate. It's going to be turbulent for a long time. That's number 2.
Meditation's my favorite. You guys know that. All right. Drum roll, number 3. What's the last little nugget we want to leave the new interns coming out of college?
I may have one here, and it may be similar to something I've said already, but I think as they go into the workplace and they start to define what the workplace is, do it your way. Do it the way that you want to do it. Do it the way that you need to do it. Let them get on board with you. And I think this is a generation that either has the courage to do that, or maybe they just don't know otherwise. But I believe that they will. I think that they are going to dictate the way that work works in the future. I'm excited to see it.
I love it. Well, I am so gracious for the time. Thank you both for holding space, sacred space for our audience and for those that are coming into the workforce. Future work is very important. How can organizations and students get in contact with you guys and be a part of this?
Mm-hmm.
So I think both Simon and I are, first of all, available on LinkedIn. It's always it's a valuable way to communicate with each other out there. We do have our Leaf Lab website, which is leaflab.org, and there's a dash between the L and the E, so l-eflab.org. And it's not .com. Those are all great places to go find us out there where we exist. We're not like, what do they say with employers? We don't ghost. So, you reach out to us and you'll hear back from us for sure.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
And then,
well, go ahead.
To that, I would just add, we also write a lot about what we do because it's a little bit kind of off center. And so the one thing I would say also is for your folks who are on Substack, I write a Substack about this way of working, sort of documenting it over decades, and it's called The Equanomist, EQUANOMIST, which means a balanced economist, like equality and equanimity.
I love it. I love it. Well, again, thank you so much for joining Strategic Shift. I am excited to see what you guys continue to do in the next 5, 10, 15 years, because the future of work is here. And for those that you have joined us, please like and subscribe and keep shifting.
Thank you for listening. I'm your host, Christy Honeycutt. Be sure to subscribe to Strategic Shift so you never miss an episode. Tune in next time as we continue to explore innovation in the future of work. Until then, keep shifting.